facing off with the ESA next year. Activision Blizzard did an internal investigation and found that they did nothing wrong. And the Xbox CFO states that hardware shortages are likely to persist through 2022. That and so much more on this episode of the Crossplay Podcast. Hello, everyone. My name is Taylar Allen, and I am your host alongside the seaman himself, Kory Braden. Kory, how are you?
Not too bad. Coming back in, as you can see, it might not show up so well on the camera, but I mean, I've been getting a hell of a tan.
His hair's all wet too, literally fresh off the boat.
Yeah, fresh off the boat, came
just
right out.
Covered in salt water.
Pulled me right out of the ocean, just threw me on deck, and that's where I'm at.
Said, let's do this thing. Kory, I feel like we haven't done an episode together in a while, just because of
it's been a while.
Dates lining up. How have you been?
Yeah, it's good. Like I mean, it's been crazy with work and stuff. We're just like finishing up one project, moving to another. So I'm hoping my schedule can finally get a little bit more, especially with everything going on that we're planning here at Duel Screens. I mean, I want to get it more where we can start getting it where we get more stream days in, get it more where we're playing games together and stuff like that, and also like just actually having chats instead of just hey look, we haven't talked in like 3 weeks, let's get together and quickly record a podcast. So and all that kind of stuff.
And I've been super inconsistent lately too. We've had a lot going on, like with family stuff, with work stuff, around my household as well. 2 days a week are entirely taken up by 5-year-old T-ball, which is something. So that's been fun. If you're a Patreon subscriber at the $3 level, you actually get that pre-show where I give you a little T-ball update. So if you're interested in my son's journey to professional baseball career, you can subscribe to the Patreon.
Is that just so you can like, is your dream just to sit there and watch him and just basically eat foot-long hot dogs and be on the side just enjoying?
I would love that. Like, I'm not kidding. I would love that so much. I will let my kid pay my way if he becomes a professional athlete. I'm totally fine with that. If we want to go down that rabbit hole, just fine with me. All right, everyone. For those of you that don't know, this is the Crossplay Podcast, where we post each and every week with a litany of different hosts. This week, you've got myself, Taylar Allen, and the grounded gamer himself, Kory Braden. Every week, we talk about the latest in video game news, gossip, releases, hullabaloo, etc. If you like that, you can subscribe to us on your podcast listening service of choice, including Spotify. If your platform allows for reviews, if you would leave us one, it would help us out a whole lot and doesn't take you too much time whatsoever. If you want to support us even more, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. And if you want to support us monetarily, patreon.com/dualscreens. That's where you get all of the amazing perks, like the pre-show, access to our patron exclusive Discord, a monthly game hangout, and so much more. So you can definitely check that out. Like our Patreon producers, Colton, the Apprentice Nestler, and FNH Paul did. Now, Kory, tell me what games you've been playing. Hello? Are you muted?
Oh, sorry, I had myself muted.
That's amazing.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Gotta love it, the live stuff. But yeah, as I was saying, basically just before I left, I had just got the PS Plus. So I'm gonna go more in depth, probably next week, or I guess I won't be on next week's show. Either next week if I make it in time for the next week's show, or the show after that. I'm going to go a lot more in depth of like my favorite picks of that and what I've been playing and stuff. But really the big thing that since I've come back is, all of us are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans, and a game came out this week called Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and oh my god, is it amazing. I love beat 'em ups. I love the Turtles, and this just basically has everything I want in a beat 'em up. And the idea that they've got it where we can play 6-player cooperative in and out,
Mm-hmm.
drop out. There's a story mode if you want to play that way, or there's an arcade mode if you want to, if that feels better. Every character can level up. This game really it's one of those games where I feel that beat 'em ups lately, where they've tried to bring back those old classics like Streets of Rage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Streets of Rage 4 was great, but it still didn't make you relive of like, okay, this did better than the old Streets of Rage, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Turtles Shredder Revenge really did go, hey, we've learned what made Turtles in Time so good.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna take that and we're gonna make it a game that's basically on par, if not better, in some ways.
Yeah. I
And this game does that.
Yeah,
So,
I know Matt, Steve, Andy, they've all been playing it and loving it too.
oh yeah.
Beat 'em ups have never really been my thing, so I have not checked it out. But it sounds like if you're into that kind of thing, this is a very good one of those games.
And it's on the summer sale for Steam.
And it's on Xbox Game Pass.
And it's on Game Pass.
So, a lot of different ways that you can access it for cheap or for free.
100%.
I have also been playing a couple of games that are featured in the Steam Summer Sale. Peglin just had a huge update. They added like 7 or 8 new orbs. They added a bunch of new encounters throughout the game. They made the game like markedly harder, which I'm into. And so I've been playing a ton of that. I've probably put another 15 or 20 hours into that game since that update came out over the last like weekish. I know I gush about Peglin all the time. I'm not gonna stop.
Such a good game, though. It's such a good game.
Fucking awesome, man.
I've played it, and I mean, I'm there with you. Like, if I didn't play my console more than I play my PC, I would be right into that. Like, whenever I get on my computer and I'm sitting there and I see the demo, because I just have the demo even, and even then I'm just like, oh, it's right there. I'm like, I could just take 15 minutes, do a quick run, right? Like, it just makes it so much fun to be able to do that. So
yeah, it's
100%.
such a good like one more run game. And it doesn't help that when you finish a run, it like immediately kicks you into a new one where you pick your relic again. So like the temptation is always right there. But the new orbs that they added are really cool. They added orbs that interact with popped orbs. They added some orbs that pass through orbs. They added more orbs that have like piercing, which I think is really cool. But it's just so good, man. We did an interview with the dev last week before this update came out, and he kind of dropped a couple of teasers. That interview has not gone live yet, so keep an eye out on the YouTube channel. It was a really, really good interview, and I'd love to have him back once the game goes full release. He's also like kind of tinkering with another game called Saturday Morning Rogue that's just available to wishlist on Steam right now. Sorry, I have the hiccups. That has like custom weapons that you can build, and it's another like run-based rogue like with more like Enter the Gungeon feel, but it's all like themed around Saturday morning cartoons and stuff, and it seems really, really cool. The other game that I've been playing though, and I know Matt just absolutely gushed about this game last night on Indies Nuts, is 20 Minutes Till Dawn. The like survival arena shooter genre has like really blown up lately, especially on Twitch. Like you're seeing a lot of the top streamers right now playing like Vampire Survivor and stuff because it's kind of like a slow release window. A lot of those live service games are kind of stagnant right now before their next like big updates and stuff. So a lot of people are playing these games because they're another one of those like one more run, super addicting ones. And I feel like 20 Minutes Till Dawn is the like perfect version of that. It's so good. A bunch of different characters, a bunch of different weapons, and you feel like it's more of like an active participation instead of just kiting enemies around and waiting for your spells to go off. You're actually shooting weapons. You're setting off your abilities, stuff like that, and it just feels so damn good to play, man. It's a ton of fun. I think 2 or 3 levels from the like max level on it now, and I was like probably 20 hours in before I even discovered the like relics and upgrade system that they have.
Wow.
So that made me feel like a total idiot. But the game is just absolutely awesome. I've been
I mean,
playing a
and for
ton of
only
that.
$3, you
Yeah.
can't complain, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so funny. Like that genre set the floor so low for what you could charge because Vampire Survivor I think is like $2 or $3 also. And it
Yeah.
came out and did so well and was like updating the game so quickly and stuff that
Hmm.
if you wanted to compete with it, you had to be in that price range. It's hopefully, it's not too resource intensive to develop. I can't imagine that it is.
I mean, hopefully
But
with us talking about it, they get, that few more downloads. Like
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the big thing. Hopefully we can bring light to it, right?
Yeah, but
So
20 minutes till dawn, awesome, absolutely worth your time. Especially right now during this kind of like lull of AAA stuff. There's not a lot of like big games coming out. Um, Checking out games like this and the stuff on Steam Next Fest, like they covered on Indies Nuts, is nice. It's a breath of fresh air. Alrighty, let's jump into the release roundup. We had a decent slew of releases this last week. Running down the list here, on the 22nd, we had Last Days of Lazarus on PC. Deliver Us to the Moon got the next gen upgrade on the 23rd. Naraka
which
Blade
is
Point,
also part of the PS Plus collection for those people who are
yeah. Naraka Blade Point, which is on Game Pass, released on the Xbox Series consoles on the 23rd. Sonic Origins came out pretty much everywhere on the 23rd. AI, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. What the fuck is that name? Oh my god. I've never heard of this game. Let me look up this game. What the hell is this? That came out on Xbox consoles, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. No PS5 release. I've been noticing that a lot lately, where
well,
because
yeah,
of the way that Xbox does smart delivery,
yeah.
they are getting lumped in with Xbox releases, but not with PS5 releases.
Well, I think that's because it's just like the same thing as with anyone with a computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does seem that like it's weird, right? Where there's a huge difference between usually a lot of like when a Series X and S game like they come out, right? That smart
Mm-hmm.
delivery really does like that frame rate's improved a lot of that. Where
Yeah.
I do notice that when you get it's interesting to see because then when those games do get a PS5 release, that's where we start to see that Series X version also get ray tracing and stuff added too, which is really neat. And I mean, I hope more companies are willing to do that little bit because like certain games, like when we look at Resident Evil 7 came out with the PS5 version.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed it like the idea that it's a 26 gig 4K pack to add into that just to make it so you can have 4K textures and ray tracing. It seems like a ridiculous amount of space just to add that. But I mean, obviously, if that's how much extra effort's going into a game, that's definitely something where I hope more game developers do put that effort out there for those as well. So,
Yeah. I looked up this game. This
yep.
is an anime ass game if I've ever seen one.
Well,
Spike
that's why the name.
Chunsoft. It is.
I was gonna say the name speaks anime to me because you can't understand what it's saying.
There's a character on here that looks like Joker from Persona.
Yep.
He's got like the spiky anime boy hair. Um, it's interesting. So that's coming out this week. Capcom Fighting Collection that came out on the 24th. PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And then
Which
Fire
if
Emblem. Oh, good.
so funny story with that. Sorry to interrupt on that. But Nintendo released their trailer for it this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and when they released it, they released the wrong trailer with the video. So if you click into it, I don't know if they fixed it by now, but if you click into the trailer for it, it shows you the trailer for Fall Guys going free to play. So it shows an entire Fall Guys trailer. Yet the video's named just Capcom Fighting Collection release on Switch official trailer.
Man, that U.S.
I'm
intern
like,
is in so
I'm
much
like,
trouble.
I'm like, and then I'm like, and then IGN popped up with the same video around the same time, and I'm like,
Really?
I wonder, and I'm like, and I'm
That's
like,
funny.
no, they did, they were smart though.
Yeah.
IGN caught it, so, but it was
Yeah.
hilarious. I was like, oh god, I'm like, that would be so funny.
And then the final release this week, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, came out on the Switch today, June 24th.
Yep.
Kory, before we jump into
Yep.
the Duel Screens report, I'm going to ask a favor. I want
Okay,
you to
what's that?
scoot your mic right up into your face. You're a little quiet.
Quiet.
Little on the
There we
soft
go.
side. Yeah.
Oh, too much in my face.
Yeah, too much. But
There we go.
get it right up in there. Yeah.
Get it. There we go. Usually Steve yells at me because he says I'm too loud.
Yeah. I can hear you fine in my ears, but the levels look a little low on our end. All right, Kory. Dual Screens report number 1.
Let's get her done.
Keighley versus the ESA coming in 2023. If you were a betting man, where are you putting your money on this?
I mean, I haven't really looked too much into this, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, I haven't had enough time to even
So
do anything.
For context, Keighley came out and said, hey, Summer Games Fest was so successful. We know you guys want an in-person event. So next year, 2023, we're going to be having an in-person Summer Games Fest event along with a showcase, which ESA quickly responded to and said, oh, hey, by the way, E3 is not gone. We're coming back next year with an in-person E3 and showcase event, and flexed we're the biggest in the industry bullshit kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The big thing that comes out of this, and I don't know if my argument is it's wherever the big publishers decide to go. Because at this rate right now, when you look at Summer Games Fest and stuff like that, I know the time period is Summer Games Fest, but PlayStation is still releasing their own state of play outside of it.
Yeah.
Xbox is still doing their own conference outside of it, and so is Nintendo. So,
I mean, Xbox and Nintendo, at least, until they didn't do it the last couple of years, have still been pretty closely tied to the ESA, right?
Yeah,
those were kind of like the
mean.
last remaining.
That's the big thing. It's really coming down to where those guys side. If those guys go to continue with the E3, I mean, who knows? After all this stuff, we might see it where Summer Games Fest becomes, okay, here's the show floor with the demos, with the indies. Here's like all this extra stuff that Xbox and PlayStation are talking about, but they're not going to be there. You might see like the third party stuff. I don't. It all depends on where they go. Like, it would be really neat to see a conference, and if Geoff Keighley can get, I think he has more pull with PlayStation and Xbox and stuff like that than E3 does, to go, hey, look, PlayStation, I know you don't want to set up booths, but hey, let's get a demo of the new God of War to be at the show floor.
Yeah. I think that over the last, like, since 2020 especially, the ESA has burned a lot of bridges and like put a lot of major publishers kind of off, and I think Keighley sees that opportunity. So I think this could be the killing blow for the ESA and their like summer presentations, if Summer Games Fest has some heavy hitters and you don't see nearly as much participation.
Yeah. And the big thing I love about the way that Summer Games Fest is held over the E3 is E3 was always that thing where if you weren't an indie that was willing to throw money at the big three, you weren't really getting anything to be shown. Like, you weren't getting that publicity. Whereas with Keighley, it seems like when we watched a lot of the stuff that they were showing, so many big indies.
Yeah.
So many indies that we follow, so many guests we've had on the show, so many guests we're going to have on the show or have had and we haven't shown yet. We're in these, in the videos. They had stuff released. There was demos coming out. There was live stuff like that. And AAA
stuff too. Like there was appeal.
I mean, it's both, right? And that's the thing, is that I think Keighley's method of doing this appeals to everyone. It's opening up for anyone that wants to be a part of it. It gives the option. Whereas E3, the big issue that they've always talked about is, hey, you want to be on the stage for 20 minutes. Okay, here's a couple $1,000,000.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas, you know, Keighley's really found the way, the glory of getting it to where, you know, he makes sure that there's stuff coming. He makes sure the big announcements are there. And, you know, he's passionate about it. Right. So
Yeah.
Keighley all the way.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Speaking of video game companies leaving a bad taste in people's mouths, Activision Blizzard has concluded their investigation on Activision Blizzard and has found that Activision Blizzard didn't do anything wrong. So in an SEC filing, Activision Blizzard reported that they have completed their internal investigation, which was conducted entirely by internal
Themselves.
resources, and have found that they didn't do anything wrong. Amid continuing stories of just the nightmare of a workplace that Activision Blizzard was for the last 5 to 8 years minimum. The numerous sexual misconduct claims, the sketchy guys in IT who were setting up cameras in the women's bathrooms, but they found through their own internal investigation they did nothing wrong.
This is like the mafia trying to find out if there's a snitch inside the mafia. Like, you know what? They might go, oh yeah, no, there's no snitch here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that grave dug beside us. There's no one in it.
Yeah. I liken this to the meme of Obama putting the Presidential Medal of Honor on Obama.
Yeah.
They very kindly said, "You did a good job. You did nothing wrong, buddy."
Yeah.
Frankly, like, this shit's gonna continue to blow up and boil over, and we'll continue to get small snippets over the next probably couple of years. I do think once the Microsoft acquisition goes through, there will be some cleaning of house. Yeah.
I was gonna say, once that happens, that's when you're gonna see it won't be like a little slap on the hand. That's where you're gonna see like some big movement. And you know, that's the one positive side with Microsoft. I mean, there's a lot of positive Microsoft taking over Activision Blizzard, but I think that's one of the biggest ones is, you know, for being as big as Microsoft is, I mean, they haven't really had a lot of that kind of news ever come up on their side.
Yeah.
And they've been in business for however long. So obviously, in the sense of running a company, they're doing it right enough to know what to do and how to fix it. So
yeah, Phil Spencer does not put up with shit, and at least in the gaming division, since he took over, everything seems to be above board. He gives his developers plenty of time. There's not a lot of stories of crunch coming out of those studios since he's kind of like taken the reins. So hopefully that continues. I think we will see a cleaning of house once that finally goes through, all the paperwork's ironed out and everything. Speaking of Xbox though, the Xbox CFO Tim Stewart, in a financial quarterly recap, stated that supply chain issues are going to continue affecting the console and hardware market through 2022. This comes just a week after Sony increased their projections for PS5 production through the balance of year, which you never see unless they are 100% confident that they'll actually be able to hit those.
Yeah.
So where does the truth lie? Are we gonna see more hardware this fall, or are we gonna continue to fall short?
This is one of those things where, and maybe it's just me looking into this from a person, every single time we hear an announcement come from either Microsoft or PlayStation, the other side always has to pick the opposite. So when we had PlayStation before, where they said, look, we're going to lower productions on PS5 so we can bring out more PS4s and PS4 Pros so that, you know, people can have PlayStations in their hands. Then we saw Xbox do the exact opposite and said, okay, we're going to stop making ones so we can make Series S's and Series X's. And there's been a whole bunch of things where it's been like, oh, well, we're going to amp our production up. And then one says, well, we want to make sure the players just have stuff. And it's it's one of those things where I have heard rumors that with the big shortages going on, a lot of companies are looking into alternatives for the
Mm-hmm.
silicon that's causing this shortage, and they may move to plastic. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of issues with that, and they have to deem out a lot of the kinks with that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the exact same time, we've also had leaks that there's these new consoles that are pros coming out. So it's one of those things where maybe PlayStation's is looking at it from a perspective of going, well, we're gonna have a pro in a year, and we're going to announce it like it's going to be next year. We're going to have a pro, so we're going to assume that the market for the PS5 regular is going to like dry up because a bunch of people are going to buy pros and sell their PS5s, or I don't know, who knows what it is. But I mean, as it is, we've seen with even graphic cards, the shortage is starting to slow down quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The parts are not as high in demand, especially because it was a lot of crypto was the big thing that stopped that was causing a lot of that. And now with that all crashing out, a lot of that market is kind of slowly dimmed down. So, I mean, do we continue to see it hard to get the systems? 100%. It's just like getting a Wii within the first 5 years. I mean, the Wii was like one of those things that seemed really easy to
Mm-hmm.
make, easy everything, but to find a Wii within the first 3 years was pretty. You were still having to sit there, and it wasn't hard to find one. It was just they were available. It was just okay. Am I going to be able to get it before the next guy beside me gets it? Right? Because everybody
Yeah.
wants them. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's not going to be that crazy. We're not going to be paying that stupid like up secondhand market BS of
Oh
paying
yeah.
$1,400 for
I
it.
think I
But
think that's far behind us at this point.
yeah, and that's
Um,
where I think it's just going to be buying the consoles at regular price. It might just be okay. Now I have to just wait a month maybe to get mine.
yeah. The
Right.
the
So
fact that both of these companies came out during their earnings reports
mhm.
and stated that uh one that they are increasing outlook and one that they believe that shortages are going to persist through 2022. I think that tells me that Sony has found another source for their silicon. They were able to like find another vendor or something,
Yeah.
um, which can be a good thing. I think it's worth keeping an eye on like this batch of consoles that comes through this holiday. Um, for their lifetime and see if there are any hardware issues with that or if it was like
Yeah.
a reliable source. But it sounds like they've been able to tap into something that either Xbox hasn't found or has chosen not to pursue.
Something. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, into the topic of the show. This comes directly from Software's Twitter account. They have stated that they are almost wrapped on their next project. They've also clarified recently that Elden Ring is going to be getting a lot of post-release updates and DLC, and that they have multiple unannounced projects currently in the works. How does From Software follow up Elden Ring, and what do they need to do to continue that momentum, Kory?
I mean, from the past, we've seen these guys make Demon Souls, then make Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. And, you know, if they continue the format that they found with Elden Ring and what made it successful, we know some From Software is going to be able to just basically mimic the same format and just make a new experience that we find exciting and, just as exciting as before.
Yeah.
And I
I
think that's the big thing. They know how to make a game. Like they
Sure.
you can't after making what six games now in a row, and have they ever had a game that's come out and people are like, yeah, no, it's not that good. Like they've made game after game after game after game, and when you have like I think the worst version of the game is what Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne.
No,
Like
Dark Souls 2 by
okay,
far.
well, but either way, when you
Yeah.
have that as your low point, that's still a good game compared to when you look at any other franchise or any other company releasing any type of game.
Yeah.
This is they're good at what they do. And will Elden Ring 2 have or the same like whatever next game have the same like will it be that first experience that Elden Ring had that made it so successful? Maybe not, but is it going to be good. I think so. 100%. These
I
guys can do it.
I don't think this next game is going to be kind of the same thing in that format. I think they either go a like Sekiro sequel or Sekiro universe game for this next one that's almost done, or
Hmm.
there have been rumors for a long time.
Bloodborne 2.
No, Bloodborne's a Sony IP. I don't
Yeah.
know how likely that is ever going to happen. Armored Core.
Oh yes,
There have
because
been rumors about a new Armored Core for a really long time, um, and I think coming off of the heels of Elden Ring, I think it's gonna shock a lot of people. Elden Ring had such a mass adoption that when they hear, oh, the guys that made Elden Ring just put out their new game, and it's this like mech combat game, like I think it might throw some people off. Um,
well, there
and
was screenshots
understandably
that
so.
appeared up of Armored Core, right? Like that's the big thing. There
Yeah,
was
there's
screenshots
been
and things like that. There's been leaks.
yeah, there's been rumors for a long time that Armored Core is the next game, and I think Miyazaki himself even came out and said like, yeah, down the line we're working on an Armored Core, which he said that before Sekiro even came out. So
Yeah.
given the like order of operations, I think it makes sense. Um,
I'm excited that I love Armored Core
I
as a
would love to
series.
see what they can do. At this point, like I have given full trust in FromSoft and I will play whatever they put out.
Well, yeah.
But I think the mass appeal of Elden Ring um might hurt the sales of this game. I think
Yeah.
not saying that the game's going to be bad, not saying that it's not going to be an awesome version of Armored Core. I think it's just going to be like kind of jarring for people who are coming into FromSoft games for the first time. So
Well, yeah,
hopefully they have
because
it like timed up where there's an Elden Ring DLC release in close
yeah.
proximity to it to like kind of smooth that out.
Well, and
Um,
that's the big thing. Elden Ring was that game where people that had never played a FromSoft game
mhm.
ever before bought Elden Ring.
Yeah,
And that's the big reason why Elden Ring I think had such a big catch. Whereas with Armor Core, you're not gonna, it's not gonna have the appeal like Elden Ring did, where it's gonna be like everyone's gonna be like, yeah, Armor Core, let's go, and it's gonna be like the people that love Armor Core, and then maybe you might get some people from that Elden Ring
yeah,
pocket to move over to it. But yeah, you're right. I don't, and I think it would be smart for them anyway to do that, to release a game in between, have something like Armor Core, and then that gives them room that when they do come out with the DLC for Elden Ring or the next Elden Ring, it's that, oh man, we haven't seen this for a while from them. Let's get back into it. Like let's be excited again, right?
yeah.
So
Either way, I think if they take the same approach to this Armored Core that they did to Elden Ring, I think we're in for a treat for sure.
oh
And the fact that they are just pumping out games, they have now put out, let's see, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Dark Souls 2 twice, all of the DLC, and Elden Ring in the span of like 10 years.
it's
Like,
insane.
it's
It's insane how good
bonkers.
they can just, it's insane that you look at any other company that, and it's not like they're just coming out with games where it's just like cut and paste.
Yeah,
These games that are coming out are like, here's an entire world that we've built from the ground up with languages, with characters, with
hmm
backstory, with
with
different like,
insanely deep lore. Like,
yeah, it's just like, I'm like, what did you guys do? Did you guys just write books in your spare time? And then all of a sudden one day they go, well, I've been writing this book they call
yeah,
Bloodborne for like 10 years. You guys want to make it finally? They're like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then they just have the plano in front of them. Like, I don't know how they do it over there, but
yeah,
man, they make, they make great games.
just banger after banger. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
the fact that Miyazaki said that he's heading up this new project too, gives me a lot of confidence. I feel like he has such a standard for quality that
Yeah.
he's not willing to compromise on. And yes, there's always going to be like quirky little bugs and stuff with their game that are easily overlookable with how good the gameplay is. So if they can do that with a dope ass mech combat game, I'm into it.
Oh, I'm super stoked.
All right, Kory. the question of the week, this was submitted over on our Discord, which you can be a part of if you go to patreon.com/dual screens and give us just $1 a month. Comes from Mike Kirsch, and he says, what deserves to exist less? The Last of Us remake or Overwatch 2?
I am going to sit with Overwatch 2. Now, this isn't just because I'm a big giant PlayStation fanboy. This is because people forget that when you look at The Last of Us, The Last of Us was originally made on a PS3. And
then immediately got remastered.
Yeah.
And is playable right now on your PS5.
Yes, 100%. But for me, where the big thing comes in is it's the idea that... Now, the question is because it says remake, that's the only reason. If this said remastered, PS5 remastered, I would say Overwatch, or that would be the exists less. The idea that they say remake is where I am kind of going the route of if they do what they did with what I'm sure it's not going to get the same treatment that Square did with Final Fantasy VII. Let's be honest.
I mean, there have been leaks of some of like the side-by-side animation comparisons and stuff, and it looks good. Like I'm not gonna come up here and poo-poo it and say that it doesn't look amazing. The fact that it's in
some of the story,
they're not going to. No chance. What would they change?
See, here's my thing. I don't think they're gonna change I think if anything they're gonna change is it's gonna be whatever the close ending of what happened in the first one and part of 2. And I know that I want them to be able to, like, especially with 2 getting the kind of flack it did, not like on the idea that a lot of people felt it was rushed and it felt like, it was weird. I think that if they were to do it, because this is a 2-part remake, I'm hoping that that's what they do. They go through and they go, okay, well, fans didn't like this. Let's take a look at this.
They're reusing the same voice lines. They're not re-recording voice or anything. There's no chance that they change the story. It's a graphic overhaul 100%.
Well, this should be called the remaster then.
Yeah. Just to be a contrarian, I'm going to say The Last of Us remake does not need to exist. I've already gone on this diatribe a couple of times, but the fact that you can play The Last of Us remake on your PS5 right now, like it just doesn't need to exist.
But couldn't we say the same thing with Overwatch
100%,
2 now?
100%.
With the announcement today?
In my soul, the answer is Overwatch 2. To be contrarian, I'm going to say The Last of Us.
In all honesty, let's be honest. And me and Taylor will probably 100% agree with me. With the news that we got today with Overwatch 2 basically just taking over Overwatch 1 and all they're doing is adding new maps and characters. Not basically.
It is.
It is.
Overwatch 1 is not going to exist anymore. It's just they're making it free to play. They're slapping a 2 on it. Like...
Yeah, and with The Last of Us just being a full remaster the way it is, Taylor will probably agree with me. Really what should happen is both the teams that work on this and have updated this and done this should have been doing something else.
Oh, yeah.
Kept Overwatch as it is. Didn't need to have a 2 beside it. Just make someone
100%.
Like they could have been doing this DLC the entire time. They could have been making characters. Just do what Smash Brothers did and slow release characters, slow release maps. Have it out every 6-month cycle.
Blizzard is the king of this already. Like all of their games are super long running games as a service. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to make a new game and reskin it. At the end of the day, both of these are just like gross cash grabs.
100%. So. And that's where, when they remastered The Last of Us for PS4, that was because they did that because there was so many people that came at the end of the PS3 era that never have had, like when PS4 was just coming out, where there was all these people that bought into a PS4 because they had got a PS3 at some point, but had never really played The Last of Us. And that made sense for the PS4 version of it to come out. But to do this again with the PS5,
and the fact that the PS3 version was not playable on current hardware.
100%.
because of
and
the
that's
cell
where-
processor.
Yeah, and this made 100% sense to do that. Now, if this is just a remaster like you say it is, well then yes, 100%. Both of us agree that the teams should have probably just done something else with their time. I mean, you know what? Overwatch 2, they could have just called it like Overwatch Deluxe or something.
They didn't even
and
have to
done it
put
that
a
way.
title on it. They could just say,
they
hey,
could've
we're
just
going
said,
free to play. We're putting in a
"We're going
battle
free to
pass.
play. Here's what we're doing." Like, do what Fall Guys did.
Exactly.
Hey, we're going free to play. Here's all the new stuff that's coming.
Yep.
Like,
You want to
I
know
don't know.
what isn't going free to play, though? Duel Screens Patreon. Patreon.com/Duel Screens. That's a shitty way to put that. For just $1 a month, you can go.
What's not going free to play? Your comments, unless you're in our Discord.
I'm just kidding. That is gonna.
Please go to YouTube and put your free comments that don't require you to have any money. Hit up the YouTube. Listen, give us reviews on our podcast as well. We want to see what you guys want us to do.
That is gonna bring us to the end of Crossplay episode 116. Fantastic episode. You can follow me over on Twitter at It's Purger. You can follow Kory at The Grounded Gamer. Double D, no E. And you can follow us as a whole at Duel_Screens and keep up with all of the content that's been coming out. We've had a lot of great articles going up on the site recently, a lot of early access, previews, reviews, stuff like that. A lot of great stuff coming to the YouTube channel. YouTube's been awesome. YouTube.com/DuelScreensTV. Make sure you guys are there, subscribed, and checking it out. We've got some incredible developer interviews coming up. A lot of really fun gameplay footage that we've recorded that Andy has practiced 1,000 times before he uploads to YouTube, and of course all of our podcasts. And as I mentioned before, we're not free to play. You have to support us over on patreon.com/dualscreens. For just $1 you can get access to our patron exclusive Discord. At higher tiers you get access to the pre-show, our monthly game night hangout, and so much more. And of course, if you want to be super generous, you can be like our Patreon producers, F&H Paul and Colton, the apprentice Nestler, that make these shows possible. Thank you so much. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye!
Goodbye.